First.
All right, we're live. Go ahead.
We are live. Hey, everybody. It's your host, David Combs here, TD Report. It's a rainy Monday here in the DC metro area. Down below, we got Mr. Tony. It's like over here, we got Jody Coleman. And then down here, what does that say? Somebody said roll tide.
No, we didn't.
Yeah.
No, we didn't. No, we
Hey,
didn't.
good to see everybody.
Hey,
listen,
Jody. 6 titles since 09.
Hey, that's all
That's
good.
crazy.
Hey, when you
That's
paying your
crazy.
players before they was paying players, I mean, you
Don't
gotta
matter.
do.
Don't matter.
Hey,
You still got to play it on.
they,
You still
they,
got to do it on the field.
Hey, listen, the SEC has had perfected the art. They're going to catch up, though. The NLI thing. You're going to start. They're going to keep paying them. So listen, guys. Just hand it to me. I'm a UVA guy. We got some bad news today. Tyrone Davis, big time wide receiver for the Cavaliers, just passed on today. It was really sad news to hear. It's very unexpected. Kind of a forgotten guy in ACC history. I'm a stats guy. I had to look it up. He has 28 touchdowns career at University of Virginia. He broke Herman Moore's record. That was Herman Moore's record. We never thought we'd see a wide receiver at Virginia get any more than Herman ever got, and Tyrone came right in and broke it. He is from Halifax, Virginia. He was there from 91 to 94. Played six seasons in Green Bay and 2 in the New York Jets, two in New York with the Jets. And he converted to tight end as a pro. So a lot of people won't remember him as a pro because he wasn't a wide receiver. He immediately went to Green Bay. They converted him to a pass-catching tight end. Had a pretty good career. All-time yards per catch in the ACC, there's only 2 wide receivers with a higher than 20 average, 20 yards per catch. Herman Moore and Tyrone Davis of UVA. Hard to believe, right?
I remember him at Green Bay. He was behind he played behind was it Keith Jackson for a hot minute?
Tamura.
It was Tamura and it was Bubba Franks.
Yeah, behind Bubba. That's right.
Behind Bubba Franks, yeah.
Yeah, so had a good career, pretty good career. Look, being a backup tight end, ain't no shame in it. You can stay in the league for 9 years. You're doing good work. So,
yeah.
Rest in peace. Yeah, good dude. All right, guys, let's get to it. Looks like the Commanders played them some football this weekend, or something resembling football. Devin, you broke the game down. You and I talked. What is going on with the Washington offense? There's no audibles? How is that possible?
All offense has audibles. It all depends on how you choose to use them audibles. And for some reason, he hasn't given the okay for his quarterbacks to come to the line, get out of a bad play, get into a better play. He doesn't trust them, or he doesn't know either. I don't even understand if he knows what he's doing sometimes, because as me and Tom have always said, the receiver reads are backwards. They're backwards.
How so? What does that mean?
Because receiver reads supposed to go from the inside out. Slot guy's always your first guy because he can win in the middle against backers. He can win quicker than the outside. They're bringing pressure. He's the guy that's going to get the football. The outside guys in his offense, the outside guys tend to have the first read, which is backwards, because that's not going to help when you can't block people. You need to have hot reads, get the ball out your hand. You need to stop taking 7-step drops. You can't do that because you just can't block enough for that.
Mm-hmm.
You see the picture I posted where the 2 guys were blocking each other in Commander uniforms?
Yeah.
That's pretty bad. And that's why at that time, I believe that's the sack when Dante Fowler spun inside and got the tackle sack right away. That's because the guy he's supposed to be blocking him is blocking another Commander guy.
Oh boy,
it's a terrible offense. I mean, it's here looking, and it's got some good stuff in it, but the good stuff doesn't outweigh the bad of the offense. The offense isn't designed to. It's not much innovation in it. It's basically Carson, throw it to a spot. Hopefully these receivers can win. They're fast. He doesn't understand that Terry McLaurin against Trayvon Diggs, he's not going to get that route. now because the Cowboys' pass rush is too good. You're not going to get a 9 route against that guy. You got to use moves on him. He struggles with guys that make him turn and cut. He doesn't struggle with straight line speed. That's his strength. He's 6'3", too. He's long. So even when he's beat, length is going to help him. So the offense as a whole is just a bad offense. It doesn't fit. The biggest problem is the line, and you got a running back that's really a slot receiver carrying the ball for you. That's
Go ahead, Jody. I know you want to jump in here.
I want to jump in. I'm not in that reason, but the two things I took away from the Commanders' game against the Cowboys, the 25-10 loss, is let's put this in perspective. They averaged 9 points a game the last 2 games. They averaged 9 points a game the last 2 games. And I know what Dev and I know what Cody has been saying. I think Tom said it as well. Carson Wentz will be benched. I told y'all that at the beginning of the season. He will be benched very soon. I don't care if it's his fault. I don't care if it's the OC's fault or the head coach's fault. The responsibility is going to fall on Carson Wentz. If they go 1-5, 1-6, you got to think Rivera needs somebody to blame. And I'm pretty sure he's known to not blame himself. So Rivera needs a scapegoat. So if he goes to that rookie quarterback, that's going to buy him about 4 or 5 more games. And it may be lightning in a bottle. But I can see if he doesn't do that, not only will Wentz be out of town, also Rivera will be done. That's what
they ain't going nowhere. They ain't going nowhere. No. And actually Heineke is the backup, so he's not going to play high. Heineke is waiting to play, so he ain't going nowhere. Unfortunately, we stuck with that guy for a while.
Hey, Tony, there's no way that Washington goes 1-6. They should be able to handle in their next 4. They've got Chicago in there. That's a winnable game, dude.
No, it's not.
Why?
No,
because wait a minute. Because
the Bears defense is elite. The Bears defense is very good.
The Bears defense is every good as Dallas.
Roquan Smith will have a field day against that offense. He will have a field day. He will be in the backfield all day long.
Okay, so that's 1-4.
Let's not forget about Robert.
And you can't forget about their struggles with quarterbacks that can move. Justin Fields' best strength is his legs.
Could be a problem. Could be a problem for them.
They got a young stud at running back. They got a young stud at running back, Herbert. He's a young stud at running back. He's a guy that we need to pay attention to. Would be a top 3 running back in the next 3 or 4 years.
Who told you about him, Tony?
Huh?
Who told you about Herbert?
You talking about the guy that played at Virginia Tech last year?
Yeah, the guy that starts for the Bears.
Yeah, I mean, he played at Tech. He was a running back last year at Tech. Yeah,
he can play.
Yeah, he can play. Look, I'm not gonna really spend too much time on the Commanders, because we shouldn't do that to them. If you still in denial and still think that is OC or head coach or owner or all that, all of it is bad. At least with our unrealistic fans in Dallas, at least they actually win games so that they can give them a reason to be unrealistic. I mean, we're not winning championships. We're not the best team, but we do win games, win divisions. I mean, that gives you some kind of hope. That crap that they got in Washington, if you want to point fingers, it starts at the top. When stuff that I do mess up, I don't go blaming this person. I go, where you go brush your teeth, you go look at that person. And it starts at that person. And then you go down. So any other argument about the OC, about this, about that, no, man, it starts at the top. And until they address that, the big elephant in the room and get this guy out as an owner, or that guy's a coach, and get you a stadium deal to get us excited again, what are we doing here, man? What are we doing?
Well, look at it this way. A year ago, the Giants were dealing with Saquon Barkley being injured, Daniel Jones not performing. They would look at dead in the water. They've had a couple of good drafts, and right now they're 3-1. So if you're a Washington fan and you're saying to yourself, "Hey, we're rebuilding," and you look at what the Giants have been able to do. The only game they lost was to Dallas, and honestly, they could have won that game. They could have the Giants easily could be 4-0. They could have won that game. That was competitive.
The Giants are taking advantage of a last place schedule. It helps.
Good.
They've
You
got
could only
plenty of talent. They've got more talent than people want to give them credit for, and they've taken advantage of their schedule. There's nothing wrong with that. They're doing what they're supposed to do.
But not
yeah.
it was a change of culture with the head coach, a guy that knew how to win in Buffalo. He came over to the Giants and he's injected them with a winning spirit that the Giants haven't had since Eli Manning retired.
Buddy, if they get a quarterback down there, Tony, if they get a quarterback up in New York, they might be somewhere.
Yeah, listen, man, I'm not. Look, reason why I'm so confident now and I feel good about my Cowboys is not because they putting up points. It's because they stopping you from putting up points. And when Dan Quinn came back last year, I said that was the biggest move. Everybody talking about what they didn't do offseason. I'm glad they got rid of Cooper. I'm glad they did what they did, help Cleveland out, because now they starting to act like the old Pittsburgh Steelers, the old Green Bay Packers. Even the Philadelphia Eagles, when you make good management moves, and you make good management moves to get to the next level, you know, you got to adapt or die. And Dallas has been doing a horrible job. Now they're a great job at marketing. Look, I got me a hat. They're a good job at that. But outside of that, we're not talking about no championships here. And I won't come on here and fake like, oh, we're on this Super Bowl. Man, get out of my face. But I tell you what, if they only give up one touchdown a game, I can guarantee you each one of you guys on here, they'll win more than one playoff game this year.
We will see about that, but let's talk about playoffs. Let's talk about the playoffs real quick. Eagles flying high, fellas. You know, we're going to stick with the NFCs. Eagles are flying high. They go in, they handle a better than advertised Jacksonville team, handled them and got that fourth win. Eagles are 4-0 and looking good doing it. What do you think about Jalen Hurts, Devin? He's a good leader.
Yeah, he's a leader. He's tough. He's got the belief that he can do it. And the biggest key is Sirianni built the offense to fit his skills. So you married the system to your quarterback. You didn't make the quarterback fit your scheme. You changed things up to fit what he does best. But to Hurts' credit, he didn't just sit on that. He went out and got better at the things that he wasn't good at, where he worked with Adam Dudeau, same guy that Lamar Jackson worked with in the offseason out in California, the renowned quarterback guru who teaches footwork, keeps your eyes up. You never look down. He does the old broom drill that people don't do anymore. That is one of the best drills ever that you can use to this day at any level. He uses the dummy drill where they throw the dummies in front of you and it's like bodies coming for you. Stuff that you get comfortable with. So when those 300-pounders and those fast linebackers are flying around, you just stay calm because you've been seeing this kind of stuff. Now, of course, I mean, still different when a big body, a human's coming versus a pad or a broom. But the skills and the footwork and the understanding of what a defense is trying to do. What I like about Dudeau is he took the offenses that these guys are playing in, and he works them into the offense through his drills. So just drilling them is the offense is being taught as he's drilling them. So that's what's the difference between him and say a Jordan Rodgers, who's renowned as well and is the brother of Aaron Rodgers, who's really good, but he isn't doing that. And you can see some of the work. Baker Mayfield went to him. He's still struggling, but things like that. But this Dudeau guy has had the likes of Deshaun Watson, Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts. A lot of the black quarterbacks, Justin Fields went to him this summer. And it may not be showing now, but that's a product of the Bears not having a lot of talent, more so than anything. But Dudeau is remember that name. Adam Dudeau is the new guy that everyone needs to be. George Whitfield had that title for a while. It is now Adam Dudeau. He is the guru that everyone's running to.
Mm-hmm. So as we start to look around the league, and thanks for that, Devin, that was excellent analysis. As we look around the league, we do need to talk about what happened on the Thursday night game last week. Jody, you want to go first on that?
Well. Before we get that, the Philadelphia Eagles, can I say something real quick before we move on to the Eagles? The Eagles are what I always say: if you can run the ball and stop the run, you're gonna have a good chance of being 4-0. Do y'all know the Philadelphia Eagles have the second most rushing touchdown through 4 games in history, only behind the 1995 Dallas Cowboys?
They're pounding the rock,
and they won the Super Bowl that season. So Philadelphia's on the right. They got the 2 guys up front, Fletcher Cox, and they got Jordan Davis. They got Graham on the outside, and Jalen Hurts playing excellent. But they got that running back by committee, and along with Jalen Hurts, and they're one of the top rushing teams. They got the most rushing touchdowns, and that's the formula to win. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
That's all right. Listen, we need to talk about what happened on Thursday. Terrible injury, obviously, in the Dolphins game to Tagovailoa. Word just came down today that he's going to be out for this Sunday's game in the concussion protocol. Fellas, I think he needs to stay in that concussion protocol until somebody in Miami or the NFL or the NFLPA or somebody can get this concussion protocol situation right. Is this kid going to be healthy enough to play football again? Devin, I'll start with you.
I think he'll be healthy enough, but based on the situations with Stephen Ross, he gonna have to sell that team, man. Stephen Ross had to sell that team. Stephen Ross has made all kinds of mistakes down there constantly with the whole Brady situation, Flores. It's time for him to sell, man. Like, no way Tua should have been on the field Thursday, 4 days after we knew he had a concussion. Passing protocol is one thing, but as I wrote a piece on Dr. Ben Amalu, who is the doctor who connected CTE to football in 2005. He made a good point. He said everyone in South Beach hits, but he also said the player has to protect himself as well. And if you're going to put yourself and say you're capable of playing, this is a results-based business, and they're looking to get wins. And it's sad, but if you say you can play and you made it through the protocol, they're not going to tell you not to play. You got to be willing to say, I'm not going to play on my own because I don't feel up to it. So Tua trying to be a hero, trying to show toughness, trying to show leadership, which is not necessary because you're 16-9 as a starter. There's no worries about that. We know you can play football. We've seen what you can do. Risk a lot, but I think he'll play football again. I just think now the worry is one more concussion. What are we going to do? You know, that's the issue now. When another concussion could be the end, which is why I think the Dolphins are going to make a real run at Lamar Jackson. I just think when the Ravens didn't pay him, it opened up a door for teams like them to be willing to make a trade, give up picks and things like that to get a guy from that area, is born and raised down there, grew up a Dolphins fan, and it's just kind of what we're seeing now. I'd hope Tua would be the guy, but 2 concussions in 4 days doesn't look good.
Jody, are we looking at football from a perspective of are we waiting to see somebody have a serious brain injury on that field? You see what I'm saying? That's what the fear is. We're not watching football for that, but that's the reality. That can happen, and we saw that on Thursday night.
Well, my perspective on this is not going to be the same as everybody else's because we all know as a kid, Tony, you played up to the highest level. Dave, you played. Dave, I know you played. I played as a kid. That there's injuries in football. And we know that there's going to be injuries. There are going to be severe injuries. It may be some life-threatening injuries. We've seen that over the course of history. Now, what happened to Tua Tagovailoa was not what we wanted to see. We did not want to see that. I mean, I don't want to see anybody get a concussion. But the nature of the beast is it's a collision on every play. So there's going to be injuries. So if you don't want injuries or head injuries in football, you need to stop football. You need to ban football, which they're not going to do. Mm-hmm. So will Tua play another down? Absolutely, he'll play another down. The whistles might be a little quicker? I think so. I think for him, the whistles will be quicker because now they know if he sustained another injury, not only will it be players on the field that will be fine or lose their job as well. And that's what I mean is like officials, because they'll be like, well, why didn't you call the play dead? Or why didn't you call the penalty? Because it was not a penalty on that play.
No.
So my thought process on this is it's a collision sport. We're going to have those injuries, and it's unfortunate that my kids play football. I know y'all kids play football. Kids that play football. There's going to be injuries. There are going to be leg injuries, head injuries. We can't get away from that. Do we want to protect our people? Absolutely. Nobody wants to see that type of horrific injury. But the nature of the beast is he will play another down, and after a couple weeks that he's not getting have not been concussed, people will forget about it and we'll keep going on, and this will be keep being the highest rated sport in all of America.
Tony, you had a situation for Roger Goodell a few years back where it looked like CTE would damage the league in terms of perception, participation, possibly fan support. That seemed to go away over the last couple of years. You didn't hear about CTE, but now it's reared its head back up again. Sorry for the pun. If you're Roger Goodell and you're talking about from a CEO level, what do you do to get fans' minds off of that? You just play more beer commercials? You tout other things about the game? What do you do systemically to keep what happened for multiple concussion syndrome? How do you keep that from happening again?
Keep all the other news of everything else that's happening in the league and keep everybody's head away from it. Like this month, all you're going to hear about is everybody wearing pink because
breast cancer
and everything else. I mean, and you have to think about it, man. There's so many more people watching now that only care about their damn fantasy team.
Right.
That's all they care about. And then their regular team. My fantasy team, my regular team, and my parlay team. They don't care about nothing else. I mean, this is entertainment, folks. This football is almost like watching a movie every Sunday. That's your entertainment. It's your Netflix. Man, they don't care. They don't even really think these guys, they think they're in character. This is a big movie to them. And Goodell and them, I mean, when you're making that much money, dude, if we all were making $10 million a piece on here to come on here twice a week, how much would we be caring about what's going on in the neighborhood? How much would we be out here coaching, doing whatever? We'd be like, man, you know what? I got my check, man. Y'all let me come on for 1 hour before the game, and I'm Gucci, man. I come on from the, from the lobby down there at Caesar's Palace in Vegas or wherever you be.
I don't even need 10 million. I need 100,000. That's all I need. I don't need 10 million. I mean, if you give it to me, I'll take it.
Hey,
you gonna give me the money?
We gonna get there.
Unless you're gonna give me the money.
But that's what it is, man. I mean, it's a shame that everybody. Now, y'all saw my thing when I sent y'all that Tua is out this week.
Yes.
Come on, breaking news. That's not breaking news. What would have been breaking news is if he weren't out. That would be breaking news.
Listen.
I don't expect to see Tua to me till after he done spent a week at Johns Hopkins, a week at Cleveland Clinic, Mayo Clinic, all those places. I ain't playing no more football when your hands look like handyman.
That was bad.
Your hands look like handyman. Dog, it's time to try to reevaluate this.
Yeah, that was bad. No, that was bad. And I mean, as far as from Goodell's standpoint, Devin, from Goodell's standpoint, that's what you don't want to see on your screen. You want people talking about, like Tony said, the game or Cincinnati's uniforms. You want people talking about what's happening on the field, but you don't want somebody out there laying on their back, possibly fighting for their life. I mean, that's literally what we got to see in real time. From a media standpoint, there are certain injuries in media in football, the iconic injuries. And I say iconic, not necessarily being in a good thing, but the injury to Joe Theismann. That's an injury I don't need to see over and over again. I watched it live. I watched it on Monday Night Football as a kid. I don't need to see that ever again.
Alex Smith,
Alex Smith. Joe Theismann said he's only watched it one time.
Tim Crumry in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I never want to see that leg again. I never want to see that again. That was one of the ugliest things I've ever seen in my life. Yeah. I think there was a guy that played for the Cincinnati Bengals whose knee is so torn up. What's his name? I think it was Reggie Williams or Reggie Jenkins or something like that. He's had 10 knee surgeries. His knee looks like a piece of meat.
Yeah, he has he has absolutely no cartilage in either knee. Bone on bone.
Yeah.
On both sides. Yeah.
How about this? Chicago's Wendell Davis blowing out both ACLs at the same time at the old vet.
Yep.
In Philadelphia.
Remember Leslie Shepard, 49ers? He had several knee injuries. He got one so bad he was running on the beach and tore his knee up.
That's my guy, man. He used to coach high school football in PG County. That's my guy.
Yeah, I remember his son.
That's what's up.
His son went to UVA. I remember him. Yeah,
he was the offensive coordinator when Gwen Park won the state championship with Phil Taylor and all them guys. He called the plays. That was his offense.
You guys have all highlighted it. Football is a violent sport. It just is. And the when you peel back the onion and then you see the type of injuries that people have, maybe some of the ones that we talk about, maybe some of the ones we don't know and talk about. I'll give you a name, Don Makowski, played for the Green Bay Packers all those years.
Magic Man.
He said it took years. He had a really nasty ankle injury. It's really bad. They put screws in it and everything. Brett Favre took over as quarterback. Everyone remembers Brett Favre. Nobody remembers Don Makowski. Don Makowski said his ankle has never been right. They could never fix it. So it's, football, if you want to play that sport, I tell people this all the time. They got kids that play high school ball and think they want to play in college, think they want to play pro. Those dudes are huge. Okay. The way that they play now, these guys are big. They're strong, they're fast, and these collisions are serious. What did you say, Jody? It's a car wreck on every play.
It's a car wreck. It's a 25-mile-an-hour car wreck every play. Every tackle, you feel like you're in a 25-mile-an-hour. I talked to a guy my guy Larry Stevens, he went to the University of Michigan, and he played for the Bengals, the guy I grew up with. And we would talk. He said, every time I hit somebody, man, he said my head was ringing almost every play. He played linebacker. Ooh. He said every play his head was ringing. He only lasted 2 seasons in the league. But he said every time he hit, he said, man, every game, he said sometimes he forgot where he parked at. He forgot, stuff in the house. And this is before the seats. I grew up when he from Tacoma, Washington. His grandmother used to live behind me. So every summer we hung out every summer. And he's actually living in Virginia now. He's in Fairfax. He lives in Fairfax now.
Remember Javid Best that played for Cal? All those played for Cal. I think he played for Detroit. Yeah, he's out of the league, isn't he?
Yeah, he's gone.
It's for concussions.
Yeah, he's the one that the guy from Maryland hit and he spit up, isn't he?
Yeah.
He threw up right there on the field. It was was ugly, and he had a concussion from that as well.
That was a clean hit. That was a good clean hit. It was a clean hit in the chest.
It's a clean hit.
Yeah, it was just football, man. It's football.
Yeah, it's just football. It's football. It's a tough sport.
It's tough.
And y'all remember the guys, Junior Seau died because of CTE. Andre Waters. What's my guy for the Steelers, the center? The white, what's his name? Hall of Famer. He was a center
Dwight Smith?
The center.
Yeah, Dwight, I can't think of his last name.
I can't think.
Dwight Stevens?
Tony, who was he? The center? The center for the Pittsburgh Steelers when they had their four championship. The white,
Oh, you talking about,
not Stevenson.
No.
That was Miami. Sorry.
Yeah, I forget, but Webster.
He's the first one.
Mike Webster.
Mike Webster.
Mike Webster.
Yeah, Mike Webster. Yeah. That was the first person that seemed like he went completely crazy, but he was dealing with the effects of after football. And not to mention, and I know you're ready to go on, but they said that with the African Americans that suffered these injuries, they cut the funding for them. If y'all know anything about that, where they cut the funding.
It's a big thing. It's a big law. Yeah, they coming in.
Yeah, there's a class action lawsuit going on for that.
So, I mean,
if y'all go to the Shadow League, if y'all go to the Shadow League, you'll see I wrote about that.
Hey, can you send me that? Can you send me that?
Yeah.
Hey, Deb, is there any way you can post that onto our
website?
On our social media
YouTube
on Facebook.
Yeah,
on Facebook, so people can see it, please. Because it is, listen, man, no matter how we go at it, we don't sit on here and cheer. We don't sit on here and cheer against people like that for type of stuff, injury. And what happened to Tua last week, man, I was just finishing taping the show, so I was at the casino I've never heard that many people yell that much in my life. Grown people like yelling like they just seen somebody get hit by a car. And
yeah,
you know, man, I thought the man was going to die out there, because when
that's
you
what
see
I'm
that
afraid of.
kind of stuff,
That's what
I
I'm.
immediately text y'all and I said that's nerves. I immediately said, because the way, if you notice, old people have the first thing, what happens is their hands go like that and they can't hold. So whatever happened, dude, football should not be in 2022 for him.
Mhm.
I agree with that.
I don't care. They need to go find some more quarterbacks. I'm not playing.
Well, you bring up a good point, Tony. With this additional game that's been added on to the season, we're at a 17-game season and a 3-game preseason. So 20 football games. What is the chance that the NFLPA pushes for these rosters to be expanded?
It needs to be pushed immediately.
It might need to be pushed to 60. What do you have to be down to on game day? What do you have to be down to on game day? 52?
Listen, I think because all the money they're making, I think all the rosters should be at 70.
70?
Let it go to 70. You know why? Is because, well, you're going to bless more people. I mean, you're going to bless more people.
Well, the NFLPA wants more jobs. The NFLPA, that's what they want, is a bigger union. They'll want more jobs.
I just think 70 is reasonable to have capable backups.
I'm gonna disagree with you, Tony, on the 70. I do think it should be extended to about 57, 58, because we're looking at 20 games. We already had 20 games. It's not like we added an extra game. We had 20 games, even when it was 4 preseason games and 16 regular season games. Now I know the significance of the one game of the preseason. I was never in favor of the 17 game. For one, is about historical record breaking. Now you got that extra game. So how are you going to 1,000 yards is not even 1,000 yards like it used to be. You know what I mean? That's the first thing I thought about.
Yeah.
And secondly, you got overtime games. We talk about player safety, but these guys are out there taking more hits, more injuries. If you look at the first 4 weeks, we just lost Williams out for the year, torn ACL. We got so many people going on the IR, and it's on the field stuff that's doing it. So, I mean, you add in that one game, you want the quality of the game. You're not going to have that quality. I understand the matchups are beautiful. I love seeing the matchups, but that extra game is not helping anybody but the NFL money, the pockets. That's it. It's not helping the players.
What do you think, Devin? I think they have to up game day rosters.
I think it should be about 60. I mean, we at 53, 45 suit up? Is that what it is?
52. I think it's 52.
52 suit up?
Game day.
Okay, 52, 53-man roster. Or 45.
Okay. Yep.
Get what it is now. They done mess with
I thought it was 45 and then 8 practice players. But maybe I'm wrong.
45 and 8? That's skinny.
No,
it's 53.
And it used to be 53 and 5, because it used to be whatever you had to do the inactives or whatever it used to be, and then you had a certain amount of inactives or whatever it is. I think it's the 53-man roster.
40.
What is it?
It's 46 NFL rosters, players, and it's 53 allowed on the roster, so it's only 46 that suit up.
46 games.
It was 46, 45, and 53 altogether. 7 on the practice
53.
Yeah.
Rosters 53, game day 46.
Yes, sir.
So, okay. So where Jody and I are going with this, Devin wants to go up to 60, right? Tony, you want to go up to 70. I don't think it'll go up to 70. Huh?
I want to go up to college because, listen, the sport is so violent. And if you're talking about the violence in the sport, we need to have depth in each one of these positions. I mean, you think about it. In college, you allow 75, 85. If you go to 70, now you might have people who not really have to play and put their life on the line because they can't find someone else.
But Tony, we talking apples and oranges, the collegiate game to the pro game, because a lot of times these guys like Alabama, Ohio State, Clemson, the top teams, they go get players just so the other schools can't have them. You know, and that could be the same formula that NFL teams do. They'll go get players. Just Dallas Cowboys got more money than everybody else. They'll go get people. Just
No. You got me wrong. When you get those players are available to the other team.
Yeah, you can take them off the practice squad anytime.
You can take them off the practice squad.
They would go into you're saying you would put them into a pool like a kitty, where they would just sit, and then if teams wanted to grab into that kitty, anybody can get them.
That should be
that would
be. But the thing about it is some players that will make guys active just because they don't want, like, if they did that in the collegiate level, and you got a school like Alabama, Ohio State that normally gets all the top recruits, if they did that, they could make those guys active just because I don't want Alabama going to get another 5-star. You see what I'm saying? Or you can put a guy, because Alabama, Ohio State, Clemson, your Texas, they're getting 5-star guys and they putting them on the shelf. But
I get it.
But if the pros do it, they'll do the same thing.
I'll tell you, you ain't never gonna stop Nick Saban from getting the best players.
I don't even want to talk about that with Deb.
You ain't never gonna stop that joke.
I don't want to talk about that with Deb on the phone. No,
I know, right? That's what I'm doing it for, is to get Deb going. I see him smiling down there. You ain't never gonna stop Nick Saban. Nick, look, man, I'm gonna tell you something. NFL Hall of Famer who's got a grandson that can play football. Nick Saban is there at his Pee Wee games. Okay, come on, how you doing? How you doing, young man? How you doing? Talking to the kid's mama, telling her that the peach cobbler tastes good. Come on, man. Nick Saban is a master of that.
Nick Saban is signing 4th graders right now. I ain't trying to hear him right now, man.
Hey, look, if the kid has talent, he knows quality when he see it.
Hey, he's signing 5'5" 4th graders right now. I ain't got time for Nick Saban, man.
Hey, look, the way that we're talking about a sport where football has had this reputation as a blood sport. The initial addition of college football as an intercollegiate sport. The reason why there's rules is to keep these kids from killing each other, because that's what they were doing when football originally came around. That's literally what it was. There were kids that were dying on the football field. I think University of Virginia had a guy named Archer Christian that died at a football game. I think he broke his neck or something like that. And this was when they were playing football at Virginia. They weren't even playing at Scott Stadium. They were playing in the colonnades that looked like a Roman theater, like a Roman Coliseum. Like it literally started out as a blood sport. They had to put rules in it. Guys like Amos Alonzo Stagg, Dr. Carl Lambeth, they put Walter Camp. They all came together and put rules into football, like quarters. In the old days, football didn't even have quarters, right? So there was no rest in between any type of periods. The game just continually went on and on and on. They added the flying wedge was taken out of football. They took that finally out for kickoffs. But that used to be an offensive strategy. 4 players in the backfield. They changed that. It used to be you could have as many players in the backfield as possible. And it caused so many injuries to the defensive players of guys just getting a run in there. Somebody said that 70 is too many players. Look, as dangerous as this sport is, as rough as it is that Al?
Yeah, it's me. How you guys doing?
Jump in there, man. What do you think about what we're talking about? You got something to say? What's up?
Yeah, man, I got a lot to say, man. But it's about that first I'm gonna go over the concussion thing, man. The thing about concussion in football is you're not gonna take it out the game.
You can't.
Sometimes I've been in places where kids have concussion, they didn't even get hit. You know what I'm saying? And thing about concussion is what we want to see is the fact that they make the right decision for these guys. There's no guy that's playing football that's in a football game that's going to want to come out. That's going to want to leave or want to come out because, for one, you don't want to let your team down. 2, you're trying to make money to feed your family. You know what I'm saying? That's why you hear a lot of guys who say, like, hey, I'd rather somebody hit me at the top of my head than dive at my knees. Because they look at it as is that short term. I could always come back with it, from a knee surgery. Then, I could always come back from concussion a couple of days. Then from a knee surgery. You know what I'm saying? So it's just the fact that the NFL did, and NFL and the team got to take more responsibility in saying, if a guy gets dinged up, now you got to hold him out, and you got to do a proper assessment. You know what I'm saying? We know the NFL and Miami Dolphins failed at doing that, because we all know what the signs of concussion is. You know what I'm saying? If somebody comes and says my back, we all know for a fact that there's no way the neurons in your back is affecting your brains. Those are more movement and messaging that's going back and forth to your brain. So when a guy stumble, you know something. And when you got thrown to the ground, you see his head hit the ground. You know, and also just to let a guy come back in a week, I say for me, it's minimum 2 weeks that you should be out. And like I said, I'm definitely one advocate for that, because I'm even involved in a college it was a college lawsuit for concussion, because I had 3 concussions in college, you know. And I remember what happened was, so I had one that went away, and then I had a second one, which was, you know, I was just a freshman year. So I'm trying to make a traveling squad. So I'm on the special teams, like, you know, diving at the balls, you know, to make plays on the field goal. Because I'm like, I'm not trying to stay, you know, home as a freshman. I'm trying to make that traveling squad, that special team. So I remember the last thing I did was I dove to block a field goal. And the kicker, when he kicked, he kicked also, tried to kick the ball, but he kicked me in the head.
Oh my God!
I was out for like oh man, it was bad. It was you know, I spent nights in the hospital. I mean, it was one that where I had to like wear glasses, you know, around, and I remember, you know, after a week or so, I was like, man, I want to play. You know, I'm trying to travel, and you know, I've been worked so hard, you know, to try to get on the traveling team, and I'm like, I'm not trying to stay, you know, I'm trying to travel. So basically, what happened was I went to the trainer. You know, they did my little test, and luckily for me, I was actually walking to the cafeteria with the trainer. And as I'm going down the steps, all of a sudden I just fell over. You know, and I'm like, man, I thought I was good. And then, you know, they were like, whoa, you know, and when I went back to the doctor, the specialist, he was like, oh no, like for some people, this thing comes back. You feel like good in a week, but the symptoms came back. And I remember it came back to the point where I had to start wearing the glasses over again. I had to make sure I was in a dark room, you know. So just the process of just rushing it, because the thing about concussion, you don't know everything about it yet. They don't know that, say, if you sit out for 5 days or 7 days, this is exactly what's gonna happen, because it's different. You know what I'm saying? It's different for everybody. And it's a different thing that there is no understanding for it. You cannot protect yourself from concussion. There's no exercises you can do that says that you're going to minimize concussion. There's no pad in the helmet that you can wear that's going to protect you in the helmet, because the fact that your brain is not being surrounded by anything else is just a simple whiplash or whatever can result in a concussion. So therefore, we're not saying that the game is going to have concussion, but if you see the signs, take the players away from it. And you know, I'm in the middle of between 60 and 70 players of, you know, with teams. For one, you know, that the game has grown. We still worrying about the same numbers, you know, that they played back 20, 30 years ago. Teams went from being $800 million worth, 300 to $1 billion worth. They got the money. You know what I'm saying? And it's about getting more guys in there, so some guys don't feel they have to be rushed in, and then it makes the game better. And then also you have more guys that are competing. You have more guys that, you know, getting to achieve their dreams. So, you know what I'm saying? So if you look at all of that, I think it's a positive thing, because it ain't gonna be no negative thing for having more guys, you know what I'm saying, on a roster. It's just that a lot of these owners, you know, they don't want to spend the money. The same reason why they want more preseason game, because that's where they get to keep all the money. You know what I'm saying? Those money from preseason don't have to share with other teams. You know what I'm saying? So
I think
that's just a quick thing. Go ahead.
I appreciate that. So what I think is going to happen is this. Football related income is going to be what football related income is. So the pot of where the money is going to come from, it will only increase based on football related income going up and the percentage that the players get versus the percentage that the owners get. So I don't think it's a question of the owners wanting to keep all their money, because, well, yes, they want to keep all their money. I get that. But I think what's going to happen is it could put downward pressure on player salaries now. In other words, you're going to have the same size pot. You're just going to have more players taking out of it. And then that is going to impact probably the bottom part of your roster or the bottom part of your salary structure. your if your quarterback making $35 million a year, you're not going to lose a dime. They're still going to continue to pay those quarterbacks that money. Okay, backup quarterbacks might make a little bit more, but that ship has already sailed. So I don't think what will happen is nobody's going to make a fortune off of being a football player, just making the roster as they expand the rosters. But I do think more guys will be on rosters. I think more guys obviously are going to be getting a paycheck. But the way that the NFL salary structure is, I don't see anybody making any more money than they make now, except for maybe some quarterbacks, maybe a couple of backups here and there, but they won't make a ton more money, unfortunately.
Yeah, but it'll create more opportunity for more guys. So you know what I mean?
You'll get more guys on the roster. And those guys that weren't making money at all will make something.
Yeah.
But you won't see an explosion of salary.
No.
The salaries are going to stay basically the same. That's what I think from economic.
But you know what, Dave? Also, too, like I know y'all talking about the salary and the size of the rosters, but I guarantee you, because it was also another concussion with the tight end from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He went back in. Now Todd Bowles is under fire for that. I guarantee you the whistles will be a lot quicker, because you telling me with that same sack, if Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers would have got sacked like that, it would have been flags coming from the parking lot.
Right.
So I think because it was Tua, I don't think that they called that penalty where it would have been your marquee quarterbacks, your Mahomes, your guys that's making a ton of money, your Josh Allen's, your Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers. It would have been a penalty called on that play.
But like we saying, like you're not gonna be able to prevent that concussion, no matter the quick whistle and anything else. You're not gonna be able to prevent it. It's what happened when a guy suffers that. It's what you have control over. You have control of saying here's a maximum, days that you can return back, back again. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, you can't prevent it. Like I've seen kids have concussion just off of rolling on the ground. You know what I'm saying? So it's something that is science is not 100%. But what we have 100% is saying that you can't rush this guy to go back in there. If this is in place, no matter who you are, because I guarantee you that guy knew, just like we tell, some coaches, they tell certain kids what not to say to a trainer. So, because they don't, I mean, I've been in coaching in high school where I literally went off at a head coach and I grabbed the kid's helmet and said, no, he's not going to go back in there. Because at the end of the day, some of these guys don't understand. Like, I understand, I have a first-hand experience. Like, to this day, my short-term memory is not as good as it should be. But again, they'll tell these guys, hey, go in there and say that, it was your back. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, well, there's nobody with a common sense. You know what I'm saying? Since you've been banging around little kid when you were young and you seen stars, even when we played, they was like, you seen stars, you didn't say nothing. You just said, let me shake it off. You know what I'm saying? But now it's like, hey, you see stars, hey, man, you need to step out because, you know what I'm saying, you never know what the next play could be. You never know. But we didn't, we lucked up and, like, you know what I'm saying, and we dealt with it and we went through it. But now it's like you said, I think you mentioned it earlier, these guys are moving at a lot different speed. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. The equipment's are lighter, so now you're traveling a lot faster than you are. Back in the days when Tony played, they had these big shoulder pads. Now these kids are got lightweight shoulder pads they're traveling. You know what I'm saying? And so now you add that into the element. You know what I'm saying? So like I said, the most thing that we got to do is like they have to put things in place and said no. You know what I'm saying? Not minimum of 3 or 4. That guy came back in 4 days. You know what I'm saying? There's no way. There's no way. When you saw somebody get up and they staggering, that's a whole different level. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know.
Get up and say,
I don't know what the Miami people were thinking just watching that from the sideline. I know this. The trainer was out there on the field. The trainer ran out there. Okay. So they saw something. So
who are they playing?
Bengals.
Buffalo.
Oh, they're in Buffalo for the first injury. Yeah, that was Buffalo.
If you think about it, Buffalo is the chart right now is saying the team that expected to go to Super Bowl. So there's no way they was gonna let them sit out versus the Buffalo Bills when they had opportunity to beat Buffalo. You understand what I'm saying? So that's the chart for them.
Probably
You know what I'm saying?
not.
For the Dolphins, that
But
was the hurdle. You know, so to
you
them,
know,
it became more than a game. It became like, we need to win. They're not thinking about his health. I guarantee you, is they did exactly what they said. You know, they did exactly what they said is, hey, just go in and say it was your back. So now,
and it was,
now
you
you
know,
don't have to go.
that's
Yeah, go ahead.
well, that early in the season, you know, the way that the schedule is set up, they're going to give every team, I think, has what, one or at least two division games are going to be in the first 6. And then after that, you're going to play your out of conference, out of division schedule. And then you're going to play your final 4 division games. You'll play the last 4 to 6 weeks of the season. So, yes, it was an important game, but it wasn't a game that Miami could, you know, Miami could have afforded to lose that game if it came down to pulling Tua out of the game. But I get what you're saying. If this had happened, for example, in October, like late November, like a November game where you're trying to win that division or get that last playoff spot, yes, that would have been a problem. The situation with Miami was, I just don't see why they tried to put him back into that Thursday night game. I think that was a big mistake, and I don't think that was made in Tua's best interest as a player, as a person, and I still think that the Dolphins should have overridden the independent neurologist that made the call.
So he's been fired.
And that guy is fired. He should have been.
So that we can let everybody on the show know that guy has taken Dev. That guy took the when we saw it, what I tell you, that's a CYA. That's a cover your ass.
Yeah. He gets to be made the scapegoat. He gets to be made the scapegoat. But you know, but as Devin said earlier in the show, ownership in Miami, they made poor decisions here. You know,
well, a lot of that, not to cut you off, but the firing of the independent neurotrauma specialist happened after Ben Omalu said whoever made a decision to allow him to go back in the game should have their job taken. So with Ben Omalu, is the most important doctor in the CTE game. He's the one that connected it to football, and they don't like him, but he don't care. And he told the NFL, "You don't have to like me, but you got to deal with me because I know things about stuff that y'all don't want me to know." And I figured out things that y'all don't want me to know. So when I wrote the article on Ben Omalu, I let it be known when he spoke up, that independent neurotrauma specialist was fired. And he said there's no way that person should have allowed Tua to get his helmet, to go anywhere near the field again. He should have been in street clothes from the time he got up against Miami.
Yep.
Well, but one thing that Dev said is that the players got to be able to protect themselves as well. And Tua being already under very much scrutinized about what kind of quarterback he was, just like Baker Mayfield did last year trying to earn a contract. He played the whole season basically injured because he was trying to prove that he was a team player. Because if Tua gets hurt, what's the knock on Tua, y'all? He's injury prone. So if he doesn't play, he goes out and he comes out and they say it was a back injury, here comes the scrutiny. So sometimes we got to protect the players themselves, have to protect themselves. Because in that situation, Tua doesn't play. The knock on Tua is that he's injury prone. So here goes the toughness angle. Oh, Tua's not tough, or Tua's not this if he does not play in that game. He tried to exhort his toughness and also his life. But we got to also understand those are issues too. When you're getting criticized in the media about you always being hurt, sometimes you take that to heart and you try to get out there and do something that you can't.
Well, Tua's married now. Tua's married now. His wife made a comment that this will be if this happens again, there'll be a decision made between them two because she's married to him now and she isn't going to be married to a vegetable. That's basically what she said out of her mouth.
Or she don't want to be a widow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Tony.
Yes, sir.
Tony. We got the Monday night game about to come on now, right?
It's
already on.
It's 3-0. Rams up 3-0.
Rams just kicked the field goal.
Rams up 3-0. So we're gonna end this real quick. I'm sorry about that. I didn't mean to run us into the game like that. But obviously, this is a subject I'm passionate on.
Listen, we can talk about all this stuff. We all involved. What we're doing is we may have some parent or somebody that see this and listen to our story and read Dev's article and listen to you correct this and really investigate it, because we all love the sport. But folks, you got to listen to people and do your homework, because I tell people all the time, this is the toughest sport in the world. If your kid is not 150% in it, do not have him play. This ain't a part-time Joe, Susie, and Johnny running down the field, kicking the damn ball.
No, it's not. It's a serious sport. It's
sport.
Between this sport and boxing, they're the two most dangerous sports that are out there.
Yeah, and all that UFC crap. That stuff is crazy.
You can get hurt. Hey, look, people don't think. Some people watch football on TV and it doesn't look that bad. Get down there on the field and see what happens. Really see the collisions that occur. It's unbelievable.
I don't listen to those people, man. The way that these people are playing this sport, and Al trains those guys on a high level. His guy right now, one of his guys, is the captain of the Giants. Cam Brown's the captain of the Giants special team. And you got to imagine Cam's life is a valiant life. He's on every special team. You know how hard that is in the NFL? How hard those guys go on those punt teams and punt return? Man, you can have that crap.
But
that's dangerous.
The good thing though, that like what you guys are doing and talking about that, believe it or not, a lot of these guys, they start to listen. Because I always explain to these guys, football is only this part of your life. You got so much more after it. And that's what these guys are starting to realize. Like, even I had a conversation with Cam and all those guys. And I don't know if you even remember Madu Williams used to play for safety for Maryland and Winston. A lot of those guys, when they came in the league, they were hitters. And he said, I had to change up real quick because, man, I was doing surgeries. I was this. you know what I'm saying? So a lot of these guys, they are listening and they're understanding it. It's just that in certain teams, like the Dolphins, and so we all know there's certain coaches that know how to play among those guys. Like two of those guys, especially like my man said, where if you've been injury prone, like you have a coach that's saying, hey man, you don't want to be the injury prone for the NFL or people talking about you, and they play with that. And a guy like Tua said, you know what, I got to go back in there and play. You know what I'm saying? But like I always tell these guys, man, we are living so much longer now. So you might have glories, but we have guys that play 4, 5 years, 10 years that now these kids will be like, who's that? Who? Barry? Who's that? But at the end of the day, you got to live for your family. And I respect what Tua's wife said is at the end of the day, she got to take care of that, because we fans that watch football, we're all about the next man up. We might be like, yeah, we like this guy, man. We like, oh, he's hurt. All right, who's up? Next person. We looking forward to the next guys that come in. And then it's these families that have to deal with that trauma. You know what I'm saying? That's why it's very important. I appreciate that article that you wrote, man, because it goes a long way, man. Because if we tell these guys that we know and they see it, they get to understand, man. Like, it's crazy. So you know what I'm saying. So it's something that, man, is very important, man.
Hey, thanks for that.
No problem, man. I was glad to come in, man. I was hoping to get a mess with Tony and his Washington football Commanders and the Cowboys.
Oh, you can jump in anytime, man. I have to jump off though. So for this edition of the TV Report, again, rest in peace to UVA's Tyrone Davis, man. Just a great guy. Really sorry to hear about his passing. Everybody, want you to enjoy this Monday night game. Tony, who do we got on Thursday?
I didn't even. What we got, Jody?
Right, Dolphins. You got the Colts and the Broncos.
Yeah,
Colts and Broncos.
That's going to be a 13-11 game.
What's that?
It's going to be a 13-11 game. Yeah.
13-11 game. Play the under.
Okay. Well, we can watch that game and make Russell Wilson jokes. But just in general, they're having a horrible season. I don't know what's wrong there. Matt Ryan, he's doing about as good as I thought he was going to do.
What?
But we'll check it out on Thursday, and we will be back. Jody Coleman was in with us today. of course, Tony Kennedy, Dallas aficionado, Mason. Thank you for coming in. Hey, Al, appreciate you, man. Anytime,
no
man.
problem,
Appreciate you, bro.
All right, thanks,
Hey,
man.
Enjoy the game, guys.
Hey, fellas, before you go, remember San Francisco always got these guys' number for some reason.
We'll see about that.
For some reason, I don't know why. I don't know
They
what it
know
is,
how to play
man.
these dudes, man. And
Shanahan, he got mind game over him, man. He got mind
tell
game.
You funny. No, man. He said he got mind control.
I don't know
Not
for
the
some
playoffs.
reason.
Tonight, Al. Hey, Jody, this is Al. He trains the pros.
Hey,
That's my
nice
man.
to meet you,
Hey,
Jeff.
he lives
What's
out
up?
in
What's
Dayton.
up?
Al, that's my man Jody.
You live
Hey,
out
you
where?
know my man Dev. Y'all two got to hook
Dayton,
up
Ohio.
because I got to get
In Ohio?
you two
Dayton,
Yeah,
okay.
Dayton,
together
Ohio.
with the Army. Hey, Dev, this is Al. He trains all the people.
What's up, bro?
Al, this is Dev, the quarterback guru. I got to get you two hooked up because we're going to be working with this Army Bowl at Dallas facility. So we all got to start bringing this stuff together, man.
That's cool.
I'm there.
Excellent.
All right. That's cool.
Thanks, everybody.
Cool.
Hey,
all right,
we're going to get a one Thursday where we all going to meet up at the casino so we can get everybody together.
Thursday at the
that's a bet.
casino. Okay. Thanks, Tony.
All right.
All right.
That's a bet. All right, fellas.